What is going on, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen? The ACMGA's Gamer here. Today, I bear some bad news. It's not all bad, just some bad. Quick recap if you're not aware of the current situation. KOTOR, or Knights of the Old Republic, there was going to be a remake of that game on the PlayStation Store. It was going to be a PlayStation exclusive, but it's run into some complications. Complications such as there was apparently an internal demo that the people over at Aspyr didn't really like. And so that led to them firing, I believe it was the art and design directors on the game, and they were going to hand it over to someone else within the company. And it's believed that they did do that. However, the issue is that ever since that happened, we haven't really had any new information until this. There was no mention of the game at all in Embracer Group's Q2 press release. The only sign of it in the full financial report was an acknowledgement that Embracer had previously announced it, and it led one brave analyst to ask about the game in the subsequent earnings call, to which CEO Lars Wingfors, I don't know how you say it, replied, quote, "I noticed that anything I say to this becomes a headline, so that is my only comment." That does not look good. And it was quite literally his only comment. The reluctance to talk about KOTOR, or the remake, does not give me a good feeling, the author. Embracer had previously acknowledged the existence of the project in May as part of its full report for the previous fiscal year, but said nothing about the development status. More worryingly, Sony recently said about scrubbing trailers and references to the game from its YouTube and social media channels. Sony later said that the removal of the remake trailer was a result of expiring music licenses. But the music in the video was a brief bit of Star Wars theme. And since the remake is a licensed Star Wars product, the whole thing still struck me as very odd. Very odd indeed. As a matter of fact, the only news that we had before the game was being moved to Embracer was the fact that they had taken down the trailer for the game. And to everybody at the time, and some even still now, they're assuming they just took it down because it's not being developed or worked on, or it's been canceled internally and nobody wants to admit it. Personally, I would think that if they admitted to canceling the game, it would be better for them marketing-wise than just completely avoiding the question. So that's kind of where we are. And I'll go through some of these other articles before I give my full opinion. The last reliable information we got on the KOTOR remake was, well, not encouraging. Back in August 2022, a report from Bloomberg, which don't always trust sources. I am very highly skeptical of Bloomberg, but they have been reliable in some instances in the past, spelled nothing but trouble for the remake. First announced in 2021, after an internal demo failed to impress, the project was reportedly taken from former developer Aspyr and landed to Saber Interactive. Publisher Embracer has yet to properly comment on the situation, and we haven't had an update other than the occasional groan from the CEO when asked for a comment. In the year and change since then, in September, Sony was, the trailer music. So then we have this one. The rumor was that it got taken away from Aspyr, which has done a lot of the Star Wars remasters, and moved over to Saber Interactive. Jeff Grubb said, quote, "There have been rumors that it moved elsewhere since then. I just want to clear it up. The game is not being worked on right now. Full stop. The game is not being worked on in any way at any studio." Well, my first thing is, how would he know that exactly? I know he's an industry insider, quote-unquote, but, like, how do you know that a game isn't being worked on in any way, shape, or form? That's my first concern. Down here, they say, but Grubb alleging the game has now been shelved, and considering that Embracer Group recently announced cancellation of nearly 15 mystery game projects, the future of the for the KOTOR remake looks more uncertain than ever. At this stage, it's unclear whether they will speak more on this project. That's the thing, it's unclear. And when you have a company that isn't transparent, we start to have issues. Issues such as now, because the CEO said that he has no comment and we've had no update on the game, everybody is assuming the game is canceled. Now, I would like to make another point. Even if the game is not being worked on at this moment, that does not mean that the game is simply canceled. It could be on the back burner. Also, like I said, we don't know exactly if the game is being worked on or not. There is the very high possibility the game is being worked on, and it's just they decided to go back to the drawing board and they're redoing a demo or trying to put together something for investors. Or it could be that, as they said, they just canceled a bunch of mysterious game projects. It could be that they're looking to consolidate at the moment, and they're not really looking to create anything until they can get some revenue to hire more people to start working on the remake. We don't know. That's the issue here, is that we don't know. People like to assume that something a reporter says is based on fact. That's not necessarily true. So in my opinion, the game could be just on the back burners. I mean, you look at Beyond Good and Evil 2 as an example with Ubisoft. The game was announced a while ago. They were doing live streams to update the game. There was pre-orders that went out for different game statues. We haven't heard from that game or about that game in years. And yet, pretty sure Beyond Good and Evil 2 is still being worked on by Ubisoft. But we haven't heard anything about it. So according to Jeff Grubb, if it wasn't being worked on, well, we don't know because it hasn't been reported on. Is the game canceled? We don't know. I do have high hopes for this game. I usually end up doing a playthrough of KOTOR 1 and 2 at least once a year. Modded, unmodded. Depends on how I'm feeling, just to refresh with the story and play through the game. It's a really fun game by itself, but I do believe that a remake, if they decided to do something similar with the controls to like Jedi Fallen Order, it could be very interesting if it were made into like an action. I mean, it is an action RPG, but if it were to be made like a third-person modern controller, modern fighting controls, that would be very interesting. But we don't know if that'll ever come to light. I think it's still out there. I think we could potentially still get one. We'll see. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.